Remember the days when the busiest portrait gallery in town was a nondescript booth at the 5 and Dime? Well, guess what, says Bill Whitaker, those days are back.
You know how they say everything old is new again? Well, look what's happening now.
Probably because they're so old school, it's all of a sudden cool. I'm actually thinking about getting one in my house.
A whole new generation is dusting off those moldy old photo booths, igniting a hot new trend.
It's not your grandfather's photo booth. We'll step inside later on Sunday morning.
Hoopla, Ed. Picture this. Time photo booth. Did I say old time? Bill Whitaker straightens us out on that.
It happened in a flash. Those cheesy old photo booths from everybody's past, you know, the ones from strip malls and bus stations. Yeah, those old things are making a comeback. Suddenly, they're trendy. They're hot.
Probably because they're so old school, it's all of a sudden cool. I'm actually thinking about getting one in my house. Why not, right?
Why not indeed? They're popping up everywhere else. From LA hotspots so cool they don't need a name outside.
All right.
To dark New York bars.
That's great.
To Hollywood's new retro bowling alley.
It's very hip.
Shelley Schultz is manager of Lucky Strike Lanes.
Paris Hilton's in there with her sister and that kind of crowd.
These days, the photo booths are about as ubiquitous as the celebrity heiress herself. Just guess where this trend caught fire. Hollywood, of course. And this is the man many credit with lighting the match.
You use it all the time?
All the time, every day.
Brett Ratner is director of the blockbuster Rush Hour movies and an all-around fun guy.
When I bought this house, there was nothing in it. And so I bought a bed, a refrigerator, and a photo booth.
So in 2000, with his new house and photo booth, he started throwing parties for his Hollywood pals.
The whole night they were in line for this photo booth. So at the end of a summer, I had hundreds and hundreds of pictures of my friends in funny poses.
So many, in fact, he decided to make a book out of them. Hill Haven Lodge, named after his Beverly Hills mansion. Candid, wacky, funny faces of famous friends. Ashton Kutcher, Brooke Shields, Danny DeVito, model Heidi Klum.
Heidi Klum did, this part of her body, then this part of her body. Then she dropped to the floor and she threw her feet up in the air and photographed her feet. So I was just blown away. The other person, Jude Law, he did something which I couldn't figure it out. He came in sideways. It looks like someone's holding his legs. It really has been the center of the universe for this house. People just come over here and spend hours. I mean, I have more pictures of Paris Hilton than anybody in history because she would come to my house and literally bring 2 or 3 outfits just for the photo booth.
And it spread from here. Director Quentin Tarantino bought a booth. Designer Tommy Hilfiger was inspired.
He called me up or had someone call me up the next day and say, can we do a commercial based on the party I was at last night?
Now these picture strips are showing up everywhere. MTV put out a book of them. They're in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
Check out our all-star photo booth.
They were even the backstage buzz at this year's Golden Globe Awards, where the winners posed with Pat O'Brien of the Insider TV show.
Pat probably stole that idea from me.
Say cheese.
I don't know if he was ever here, but I'm sure he's very familiar with my booth. So Pat owes me some money.
It's all good news to booth supplier PhotoMe. Western Regional Manager Sonny Pham says demand has grown astronomically over the last 3 years.
We also do once and sometimes twice a year for Hugh Hefner. We are at the Playboy Mansion, and the technician who mans the booth there is always excited.
Are you surprised?
I am a little. I love all these women in their hats.
Yeah.
Los Angeles vintage photo collector Babette Hines fell in love with really old photo booth pictures from the 1920s, when the photo booth was first invented, through the Depression and war years. 3 years ago, she put her favorites in a book entitled Photo Booth.
Is there any difference between the photos of this era and the ones today?
I think the only difference is they're much more sort of studied in the 20s and 30s, and it wasn't until I think the 40s, or like late 30s, early 40s, where people started to kind of yuck it up.
So people have become more relaxed over
Yeah, absolutely.
But one thing remains constant, she says.
There's a curtain, and you're alone in a little space by yourself, and so you can be whoever you want to be. You can be like sexy, you can be goofy, you can be very formal, you can be very serious. Like, you are defining yourself in that very moment of who you want to be, and I think that really translates.
See this? All of a sudden, you go in this little box, and you and the camera are alone, and no one is seeing it except the camera. Because of the lighting, because there's a front flash, everybody looks good.
Well, maybe not. But they sure put a smile on Brett Ratner's face.
Your idea is taking over the world.
Exactly. Best buy I've ever made. No wealth could have afforded me the meaningful moments, ebullience, and instant gratification than that of a simple, beaten-up, magical booth.